I want to read some poems from this book, Geomantic. Geomantic, geomancy, is from the Greek, and it means divination or foretelling the future. Divination through the marks left on the earth, or through throwing down a handful of earths and looking at the patterns and using it as a kind of augury. And that interests me, this the human need to divine things. So I was very inspired in the making of the book by the whole idea of quilts, especially memorial quilts, and especially the memorial quilts made by the more disadvantaged communities here on the island to remember and to commemorate their lost children, adult children as well as younger children, lost through drug abuse and all the different syndromes that come with addiction. So I find those quilts really moving, and I wanted in the decade of commemorations to put a mark down for those communities in some way in my poetry. They're the communities I come out of and the ones that nourish me in all kinds of ways, spiritual and practical in my work. So inspired by those quilts, this book is a kind of a quilt, and I hope, for me certainly, making it offered some of the comfort that you associate with the quilt. So I'm just going to, they were written to be read randomly. They're all very short lyrics. So I'm just going to do a handful of them. Again, randomly. They come out of the recession. So they were written at the time of austerity, and to be reading them here in the archive of UCD is interesting because I was in here teaching during those years of us at that time of austerity, and the children of the crisis are definitely not the children of the boom, and they're a very politicized generation. Many of them will have witnessed their parents losing their homes, cracking up, all of that came with those dark years of recession. So the trust. Leave her in the lap of Our Lady, her counsel for where to place the lost when we close the door on their madness. She slammed the door on her own daughter, left her to the city's chartered streets, found her in the Liffey's dark water, cast up in the week before Christmas, the city gripped in the hardest frost, the eve of the new austerity. The old neighbourhood. I was dreaming of Gardner Street again, Georgian inner cityscape, how they named it when they laid it out somewhat like a natal horoscope, squares that trine on sextile country seats. As if summoned on some psychic Skype, the ghosts of my childhood manifest, my feral girls, my angels, who skipped summer into being with each beat. The boy from the Gloucester diamond. What did we know of bogs, their beauty, the names of their flowers, their wild skies? We cursed those black-robed men who swept the four winds and the four known seasons out heaven's door down on us below. They were beyond all sense, all reason. By an unmarked grave we knelt and wept, spoke of his head of curls, his green eyes, his broken back, his small hands empty. The melter. I remember you well in Grogan's. You called it the poet's horror hole, and though it was easy to get there, it was harder to find a way home. Now that you're on the straight and narrow with your charts, your mottos, your slogans, your strategies, your game plans, your goals, you're melting our heads with disasters, with gossip, with lost bar god syndrome. The broken bough. We held our breath when you were a boy out on a limb of the old oak tree, helpless below as you shimmied up into its shadowy canopy. That day the bough broke and you clung there, alone through the sudden thunderstorm. We came upon you after, unafraid, though drenched to the bone. The pattern set, all those times since, we wasted our breath. The old professor. It's not just that he can't remember you. He can't recall any of it. The university, his other students. I rocked, I reeled, I was knocked off kilter, as if the child in me had stepped up to the blackboard and picked up the chalky duster and wiped her future lines away, even the bit where he helps me get sober and clear. The flood. It was only when it receded we knew it for the gift it had been. If truth be told, we missed the water. It was exactly what we'd needed. We missed the way it made a mirror, doubled goose, godwit, egret, heron, and that once in moonlight we looked down on two complete and drowning strangers, those depths where later wolfbane seeded. The woodpile. We worked our way through it, log by log, 3 winters' worth of heat, precious light, through the darkest nights, the darkest days. You'd remarked you knew the very tree. That last June you stacked them in the barn, the silver logs in their fret of moss. You must have had the news already, whistling from the woodpile's finished height, your arms about your favoured black dog.